Wow, it is certainly picking up with Newcastle United and transfer rumours, isn't it? Now with Sandro Tonali well and truly on the radar, is that going to happen? And have we actually had a bid for him initially rejected? Also on today's show, we've got Ruben Neves. Is there a possibility that we could loan him from Al Hilal for the season? James Maddison has expressed his desire to have a break and is looking forward to a holiday on social media. Kalvin Phillips could be on the radar for Newcastle United. Araguile, the Turkish sensation, could be signing a new deal with Fenerbahce, which would eradicate his release clause. And the Newcastle Brazilian duo start last night. Let's have a look at it all on the Daily News. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Toon Review YouTube channel. I'm Paul and welcome to the Daily News Show. A lot to get through here today, but as usual guys, if you do enjoy today's show, don't forget to give it the thumbs up. It is very important that we keep the likes coming on the channel. And also, if you are new and like what you see, please do hit that subscribe button, completely free to do so. And also that notification bell, which will let you know when we go live or we upload any future videos. Right, as you can see there in the headline, Tonali bid rejected. It is reported that Newcastle United have had an initial €60 million bid for Tonali rejected. AC Milan, although they're struggling for money, it's well known that they are struggling and need some cash injection pretty soon. They want around €80 million. Now, that's not to say that Newcastle United won't pay this. Obviously, they've gone in with a bid. We are led to believe that his representatives were on Tyneside, or certainly were in the UK yesterday, discussing personal terms for the player. However, there is no fee agreed between the two sides yet, and that is probably the most important thing that we need to look at. Tonali is AC Milan born and bred. He loves the club inside out, but again, it is suggested that he wants a new challenge, and he's looking at Newcastle United as a fantastic project to go and work on. Now, obviously, there is going to be interest from other teams, and believe it or not, Chelsea are interested in him. Now, Chelsea think that they maybe could get an advantage here by offering one of their players that is no longer needed at the club. That includes a Loftus-Cheek or a Christian Pulisic. Pulisic for me would be a good move for him to go to Italy. I think Pulisic is a wonderful player. Maybe not for Loftus-Cheek. I think Loftus-Cheek is a good Premier League midfielder, and I think he could do a very, very good job for a Premier League side. So I'm not sure he'd be tempted by the AC Milan move, but as I say, we do know that Chelsea are interested, which kind of pees me off a little bit because, as usual, whenever we are interested in a player, it seems like Chelsea's name is always bandied about for the same player. Now, I guess on the flip side of that, we have to expect that now, guys, because we are shopping at the top table for all these quality players. We are going to get the big clubs fighting with us for the signatures. I don't think there'll be a problem with the two clubs agreeing a fee eventually, Newcastle and AC Milan. I think, if they're looking for around €80 million, Newcastle will probably up their bid and maybe come to some negotiating price with AC Milan. Now, nobody knows how it went yesterday between the representatives and Newcastle. Some people have reported that they were on Tyneside yesterday, and other reports saying they were in the UK talking to Newcastle. They didn't say they were in the northeast, which is very interesting because we know that these talks for players can take place anywhere, whether it be in the UK, it could take place in Italy, or anywhere across bloody Europe for that matter, or the world. These negotiations for players take a little bit of time, and it's a big move for Tonali because, like I say, he's born and bred Milan. He would be moving to a new league, a new country. Look, he's a superstar, this guy. He is a brilliant, brilliant player. And if we can get this signing done and dusted, it is a real statement of intent. Now, yes, we said that about Barella as well when Barella's name was mentioned last week. However, it's just the same. A statement of intent to go for somebody like Barella or Tonali. It's going to be massive. If we can get one of these players done, it is going to be huge. Now, listen, I've got no idea whether we're going to get him, but I'm only going off the mainstream media on this one. The mainstream media are reporting this, not just, Harry in his shed. This is basically the mainstream media, and it has picked up pace within the last 24 hours, no doubt about that. But if we have had a bid rejected and we're going, I would certainly see Newcastle certainly going back in again and upping the offer. But let me know what you think of Tonali. Has that come out the blue for you? Are you really excited about a player like Tonali coming to Newcastle United? Let me know in the comments below. Ruben Neves surprised everybody when he decided to obviously leave Wolverhampton Wanderers and go and play in the Saudi League with Al Hilal. Now, I have read and I've seen various reports this morning that there's a possibility that Al Hilal could now loan back Ruben Neves to Newcastle United for the season. Now, I don't know whether this gets around FFP and things like that. I have no idea. I don't know how it works. I'm not big into that. I'm not wanting to be talking about FFP because it's very, very difficult to work out sometimes when you see the amount of money that some clubs are spending compared to others. But this one, it really interested me because Ruben Neves, let's be honest, I think he's around 26-year-old, 26, 27, still in his prime and still a very, very good footballer. And I said on yesterday's show, I was very surprised, we were talking about the Saudi League buying all these players and what kind of impact that would have on the Premier League. But Ruben Neves is a player that I would love to see at Newcastle. I think he's a fabulous midfielder. He's got a finish on him. He's a set-piece taker. And he's an all-round baller for me. Now, it slightly went off the boil for Wolves last season. I think, Wolves didn't have the greatest of seasons. The squad themselves had a lot of injuries. They couldn't get going. But if you look at the way Neves has performed the last few seasons for Wolves, you will see that there is a player in there. He's got international experience as well, and certainly for us in the Champions League would be an absolute asset. No doubt in my mind that he'd be an asset. But can I really see this actually happening? Al Hilal getting Neves and then loaning him back to Newcastle. I think it would be a cheeky move, that's for certain. But with PIF's involvement in both clubs, you never know. You just never know what might happen. But personally, I can't see it happening because, let's face it, the amount of complaints and people saying, we're cheating the system and all that. You just know what's around the corner if something like that happened. So, for me, I don't think it's a goer, but you just never know in football, do you? Now the never-ending saga of James Maddison. We didn't know what he was going to do when the internationals finished, whether he was going to sort out his move before he disappeared for a break or not. It seems like he's going to go for a break before he decides on anything. He'll have probably a good discussion with his family and things like that. He will know, going on holiday now, where the offers are. He'll know what he's been offered. I have no doubt about that negotiations with Spurs and Newcastle United, talks will have taken place. However, James Madison has put on social media this morning that it's time for a break and a good holiday. So he is not in any position at the minute to sign for a new club. Now, what he could have done is he could have spoken to his agents and his representatives and said, right, this is what I want moving forward. Which club can offer me this? Or what is the offer from the clubs? And, you can contact me if you need to discuss personal terms. So you just never know. When players go on holiday, it's never really off the table that they can, either fly back for a day, sort it out and go back on holiday again. We've seen that before in the past when various players have been on holiday and they've come back to sign for the new clubs and buggered back off again. So Madison could do that. But look, I think it has to come to an end, this Madison saga. And for me, the sooner the better. I'm not going to spend too much more time on it, just as the fact that he said he's now ready for a holiday with his family. So let's see what happens over the coming weeks with that. But I don't think anything's going to get sorted, certainly with Madison, within the next few days. Now, Kalvin Phillips, the Manchester City midfielder who seems to never get a game for them, yet is one of the main names on the England team sheet. Now, he did very well in the internationals, just gone, considering he didn't have much football last season. But it is led to believe that he is on Newcastle's radar still. We have discussed him, I think, on a transfer show, and the sort of feedback we got from the fans was maybe or maybe not. I think they were a little 50-50 because he hasn't played a lot of football. Now, just because he hasn't played a lot of football does not mean that this kid doesn't have a lot of talent. He does. He's a very good footballer. You know, Guardiola paid £45 million for him. And, you know, we class Guardiola as one of the best managers of all time, without a shadow of a doubt. He has an eye for a player. He knows the kind of player that he wants in his system. Now, would Kalvin Phillips fit an Eddie Howe system? Absolutely. It would enable Bruno to push forward. Certainly, Kalvin Phillips can play the defensive midfielder role to perfection. He's very good at it. But is he the type of player that would get the fans excited? For me, I wouldn't mind it. You know, we're talking about building a squad here. We're not just talking about, you know, the starting 11. You have to remember that we are building a squad here at Newcastle, and not just the starting 11. We've got to play a lot of games next season, a lot of football matches in which we're going to need everybody at their peak. So we're going to have a big squad and a squad that can rotate. Kalvin Phillips, for me, he wouldn't have to play every week for a start if he did have injury problems. However, I think he's over them now. I think he's been over them for a while. It's just a case that he couldn't get in the Man City starting 11. And let's face it, it's not an easy starting 11 to get into that. So Kalvin Phillips, it certainly would be an option. But I think what the report also says is that this may well be the end of a transfer window deal. You know, you'll see how he goes in pre-season, see what Guardiola's plans are for him in pre-season. And then if he's really not, you know, near the first team, then he'll look probably for a move. So it's an interesting one, but that one probably won't take place till deep into the window. A player that we'd absolutely love to see at Newcastle United is Fenerbahce's Araguile. This is a wonder kid who has been dubbed the next this and the next that. He is a fabulous player. However, he only has a €17.5 million release clause. And Fenerbahce obviously realise what a talent they've got on their hands now. And it looks like they are going to offer him a new deal. Now, that's not necessarily to keep him at the club. It's a very clever move by Fenerbahce. What they're going to do is offer him a new deal, which would then eradicate the release clause. In fact, what it would probably do, if there's going to be a release clause in his new deal, it would be bumped up God knows to what. I think Fenerbahce are worried at the moment that they're going to lose potentially somebody that would bag them multi-million euros for very, very little. And when you've got a 17.5 million release clause, they'll be worried about teams immediately coming in. Now, obviously, as I say, this won't stop clubs going in for him. I think he will move in the summer anyway. But Fenerbahce have realised, thinking, Christ, we're giving them away for pennies. We've got to get something sorted. So the reports from Turkey are that they're looking like giving him a new contract, and that will take away the release clause. And you know what it is? I think it's a very, very good move, to be honest, because if I was in charge of Fenerbahce and we had a wonder kid on our hands like this, who we know we could sell for much, much more than what his release clause is, you want to do something about it, don't you? You don't want to be stuck selling them for very little. And Fenerbahce, you know, they could do with the money. They've got a real talent on their hands there, and they can get multi-million euros for this player. But that's not a great sign for us as a club or anybody else that's interested in him, because everybody's sort of, lights flashing everywhere saying 17.5 million euros for this kid. Let's go. But there hasn't been a bid for him yet. Nobody's come in and paid the release clause. So I think Fenerbahce are very astute to do this and offer him a new deal, and then make sure that they do get some decent money for the player in the future. And finally, our two Brazilian superstars, Mr. Joe Linton and Mr. Bruno, started in the Brazil side last night against Senegal. However, it didn't end too great for them. Senegal played absolutely superbly and beat Brazil 4-2. However, let's not focus on the result. Let's focus on the fact that we've had two Newcastle United players starting in the Brazil 11. Now, Lucas Paqueta also started the game and scored. You know, times were during last summer we thought, wow, three of them together would be fantastic. Well, they played together last night. But it didn't quite work out for Brazil in the end. However, it was just a friendly. Brazil made a lot of changes. Senegal were great. And, you know, I think these African teams need to start being respected a little bit more, because they've got some very, very good footballers. There was some great goals scored, and some, you know, they are a talented bunch. You know, you've got Senegal, the Ivory Coast, Ghana, All of these African teams are coming through now and really putting up good performances against the big boys of world football. So congratulations to Senegal, but also massive congratulations to Bruno and Joel Linton starting in the Brazilian 11 yesterday. So there you go, guys. That is the daily news. Quite a lot of stuff to get through, but we did it, and I'm dying to hear your thoughts on it, because there's a lot going on at the minute. Would you pay the €80 million for Tonali, or do you think the two clubs will come to a deal somewhere in the middle? Newcastle 60 million rejected. So what do you think? Also, Ruben Neves, would you take him on loan if that was an option, or would you think that's downright cheating the system? Let me know. Of course, Madison, Kalvin Phillips and Guler, all the stories. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a like. Those thumbs up really do help YouTube put us in the search results and tell everybody that this channel is something special. And if you're new and like what you see, please subscribe. It is free to do so, and also hit that notification bell, which will let you know when we go live or we upload any future videos. And you can donate to the channel when we're not on air, if you do so wish, by hitting the thanks button, which is just along from the like button as well, and that'll take you through a payment method to make a donation to the channel, which we really do appreciate. So thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.